George Washington, right, under the Constitution for the United States of America that was fully ratified and put into full force and effect in the year 1789. George Washington reached out to the Sultan Sidi Muhammad in the year 1789, around December 1st, 1789. But the United States of America as a government, because they were leaving the Articles of Confederation Constitution, they established a second constitution starting around 1787, and they put into full force and effect around June of 1789. But in order for that Constitution, United States of America, to have full force and effect, they had to deposit it with the Sultan of Morocco, or else it would have had no standing in law. You see? So what you have to understand is once the United States of America changed their constitution, their original constitution was tied to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1786 and 1787 under the Articles of Confederation. When George Washington decided to establish a second constitution, they had to deposit that constitution with the Sultan of Morocco, because the Sultan of Morocco oversees all these territories as the true original sovereign. In other words, the 13 colonies replaced the monarch of Great Britain for a monarch called the Sultan. They just traded monarchs, okay? Now, the reason why the United States does not teach their citizens about Sidi Muhammad, the Sultan of Morocco of the empire, is because of one reason and one reason only. See, in order to talk about the Sultan of Morocco, you have to talk about Moors. See, every time the Sultans wrote a treaty, they always talked about the Moors. So the United States would love to give credit to Sidi Muhammad for what he did to put them under protections and help to defeat Great Britain. But in order to talk about Sidi Muhammad, the United States would have to talk about the Moors. And they don't want to talk about the Moors. None of the European states want to talk about the Moors, because the Moors are the indigenous people of the land, and the Moors have the sovereign right and the sovereign powers to sit back in their seats of government and govern over their own territories, their own land, which would automatically put the Europeans at best in a subordinate position. So they can't talk about the Sultan, because they would invoke this word called Moor. And that's why they don't talk about the Sultan of Morocco. As a matter of fact, the Sultan Sidi Muhammad should have had a statue in the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. He should have had a statue before Lincoln, before George Washington. There should have never been a statue there until they put a statue up of Sidi Muhammad. There would be no United States of America without Sidi Muhammad. So the first honor should have went to a Moroccan Sultan. That Mount Rushmore should have been Sidi Muhammad first, then George Washington, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they can't talk about the Sultan, because if they do, they have to talk about the Moors. And who are the Moors? These people they call Negroes, blacks, colors, African Americans. Who are the Moors? These very people the Europeans have subjugated and got them thinking they never had no history. You see, the Europeans can't talk about the Sultan, because you automatically have to invoke the Moors in the same conversation. And the Europeans have been working for at least about 200 or 300 years to suppress the word Moor. The word Moor is the most powerful noun on planet Earth. What's a noun? Person, place, or thing, or idea. The word Moor in itself, capital M-O-O-R, is a noun. Is the most powerful noun on planet Earth when you're talking about a people, because Moors sit in the highest position of government over all these land territories, or what's commonly known as the Americas, what's commonly known as Europe, what's commonly known as Africa, what's commonly known as Australia, what's commonly known as all the surrounding islands. Moors were running these territories as the sovereign heads of state. And the Europeans don't want to talk about the Sultan, because if you do, then you have to talk about the Moors. And the Moors are still here. And the Moors are now rising back up to take their rightful place to sit in their political offices of government as head of state, head of government, speaker of the legislative branch, and judges. It's happening again. You see, it's coming full circle again.